you're in a smaller company, it's kind of like everyone's a jack of all trades and a master of none. As you
Right.
get bigger and you try to scale, you have to find those who are just passionate about data science, right? Absolutely passionate about data science. That's all they want to do in their life. And before that, they were maybe doing client success, they were doing some data integration, but they really, really are data scientists at heart. And as you get bigger, you can actually start to put more emphasis on that data science and create really a center of excellence for each, whether it be operations or data science or technology as you grow. In a smaller company, you can't do that. You have to have people with many hats. But just like in the boys of the boat, get the right people who've got that stretch a little bit. They also have the ability to really focus on their trade.
Thank you for joining me on Tech Scenes. What I'd love to start out with first, if people don't know, and I know a lot of people already know, but what is Clearsense?
Well, thank you again for having me, Jeff. I really enjoying this conversation. So, Clearsense is a data enablement platform for healthcare. And so, what that means is that we are leveraging both legacy longitudinal data, and this is clinical data, operational data, ERP data, any data you can speak of, and we are revitalizing that data along with near real-time data from the production systems to bring new life, new visualizations, new analytics, new technology tools that you can add on top of that platform to make and leverage the use of data. And so if you think about at a high level concept, data is the new oil inside of healthcare. And so I think that clients, not just, I think healthcare is a bit behind, but the rest of the world is focused on how do you leverage that data to create new products, new perspectives, new analytics, operational improvements, healthcare outcomes, and all those types of things. So our platform uniquely is built towards helping our clients achieve those successes.
That's awesome. And like your background, I think is really interesting. I mean, it's under a year at Clearsense right now.
I am 7.5 months, I think, at this moment.
Okay. Yeah. And your background is like, it's been management consulting. It's been a lot of executive leadership. It's been some biz dev, some product. You know, what was the triangulation for you and the opportunity with Clearsense?
Yeah, that's a question I've gotten quite a bit, and it's for me, it's a convergence of my career in a lot of ways. So, my first decade was in IT management. I got a graduate degree in health services administration with a focus in technology. I worked at Cerner, I worked at Ernst & Young, I worked at Ardent Health Services deploying EHR systems. And then the last 20 years has been all about focusing on the payer side and creating value-based care solutions that can empower providers and clinicians and patients to improve their healthcare outcomes. So Clearsense is really a convergence of all of the above. So
Right.
going back to my roots, so to speak, of the health system side of the fence and helping drive cost takeout and achieve more value-based care opportunities, research enablement, things of that nature. But there's also opportunity to start to converge properly with payers for areas to improve value-based care. You know, those who've been in value-based care, I've been in value-based care before the term was 20 years ago. And
Right.
it's really just not, made the strides that I think everyone thought that it might have by now. To me, the main reason why is because of the data. And so if you don't have good, strong quality data, you don't have recency, timeliness of the data, and it's not complete. So it's quality, timeliness, and completeness of the data. I don't care what AI, I don't care what tools, I don't care what Power BI, Tableau, visualizations, what technology you have. It's going to be underperforming or incorrect in some cases if you don't have good data. And so Clearsense to me was the opportunity to really get the plumbing correct, which
Mm.
is so complicated. There's so many different sources of data. There's, one Epic is one Epic. There are, thousands and thousands of Epic installations, and they're all literally unique. They're all snowflakes. Cerner is the same, Meditech, Athena. Then you throw in all the ERP systems, and then you go to each of the payers. They all have their different systems and their different claims, their eligibility, their medical claims, their pharmacy, et cetera. And they're all a little different. You have standards like HL7 and FHIR, but there's also perspectives on how they should look when you implement. So hence, meaningful use is not necessarily the case in all cases. So you really have to have good, strong quality, timeliness, and completeness of the data to really achieve, I think, value-based care and the things that healthcare is lagging for so long now. And Clearsense, I think, is the data enablement platform that can help get there faster.
Right. And, healthcare is confusing for a lot of people, especially people that haven't been in healthcare. There's a lot of rules and compliance, and it's not an industry that moves fast all the time. Where do you see like ClearSense playing and trying to find that win-win? And potential, maybe it's a win-win.
So a couple things. So we start with, we have a one Clearsense platform, and everything is housed on the platform. And right now, more than ever, health systems are struggling mightily on their P&L. They're struggling mightily to find areas where they can reduce costs. And this is not the actuarial bend and trend costs. This is actually hard costs.
Right.
And it's been a real struggle, really since COVID to get back on their footing. And so with our initial offering, our first offering I'll describe here, I think of this as a layer cake. It's called application decommissioning. And so what we're looking at is a full-scale application inventory of all the applications they have. So I was shocked, and this is someone, I've been in healthcare for 30 years. I was floored when I found out how many applications some of our customers had in their inventory. So we have one of our customers, they have about 100 hospitals. They have 7,000 applications across their
Wow.
enterprise. Many of our customers have 3,000, 4,000 applications. These are very, very complicated situations. And so what's happening at the same time, the market trends are lots of mergers and acquisitions because there's efficiencies when you gain from mergers and acquisitions. However, when you have thousands and thousands of applications that are not shut down, because that means licensing costs, infrastructure, headcount associated, and you're not decommissioning those applications and then using that data for different purposes, which I'll start with access into the EHR. So let's say you're shutting down all scripts, to take a pick, and they're most likely going to Epic, right? So
Right.
in the EHR, to be a true longitudinal record within Epic, you really need access to all the data, not just the last 2-3 years of data. So bringing the legacy data into the point of care so the clinicians can use it when they need it on the floors or in the ambulatory settings is going to improve care quality. In addition to that, you have just the regulatory requirements of release of information. You also have operational use cases as well in terms of making sure that your operations running properly and shutting down ERP systems as well, AR work down, et cetera. All these areas are historically in this particular space has been project based. So you've got a vendor who comes in, they say, okay, great, I'm going to shut down Meditech, and then they move on. They throw it in the archive and they're done. The difference that Clearsense is doing, and I can say there's no other company that I'm aware of, I've been researching this for before I got here, is that we're not taking a few applications for a few hospitals. We're taking hundreds of applications. Our technology and our approach has enabled us to do dozens and dozens at a time concurrently. And there's a great Gartner article I read about this, and this is not even healthcare specific article. And it talks about best practices when you're rolling out an enterprise application. Let's say it's Epic, or you can consider NA as well. They're rolling out the Epic. They're getting the new hospital system absorbed into the Epic system, whatever the case may be, or the ERP system. It doesn't really matter. Well, what health systems are really good at is and it's hard. because I've done this before, but way back when I worked for
Right.
Cerner, is rolling out those applications. It's really hard, but they're pretty good at it at this point. They're messy, but they get it done. What they're not good at is saying, okay, I need a dedicated team, not the same team here that's rolling out Epic or Cerner or whatever. I need and this is what Gartner calls it, an application undertaking team, which I think I
Mm.
love the concept. So this team is focused on which applications you're going to get your most bang for your buck, getting the licenses in order, setting the stage with the user community, setting the stage with the contracting and the vendors that you're shutting down, getting the data extracted in the proper way, transforming that data into our cloud, and then providing the visualization so that the correct users have access to it in the right places. And doing that hundreds at a time, not a few, hundreds. And so that's what we're doing with this. And that is a very high amount of ROI. You can directly look at a CFO, could look at a spreadsheet and say, I was spending $5 million on this last year, and now I'm spending zero this year on a spreadsheet because the invoices have stopped, the FTEs aren't there, the infrastructure, storage costs, things like that. So I look at that as the bottom of the layer cake. And I'll be a little brief on the second piece so I can let you inject. But then you take that archive legacy data, and then you add on top of that other use cases, such as research enablement. So I've got the archive data. Well, now I want to bring in near real-time data. We could be as real-time as today, or we can be as near real-time as a week, a month, a year, what have you, whatever the case may be, using DAV certified data coming out of the EHR system into our data set. So now you've got a combination of the longitudinal record and you've got the more current data. You layer on top of that our research cohort clinical trials enablement tools and other analytics that can provide researchers fast cohort analyses across large data sets from 20 years ago to last week or yesterday in some cases, so that they can actually drive more research grants and usage of clinical trials that they're trying to work with big pharma. And so you could keep extending that to other areas such as AI, other areas. It's really an unlimited data enablement platform once you have the the recency, the timeliness, and the completeness of the data.
That's really amazing. I find it fascinating, like the competitive landscape out there and how much opportunity there is for so many companies in healthcare. I really believe there's so much room at the top. If people can really understand the needs and create their products in a certain way. And I definitely feel like you guys are definitely sitting in a really nice spot from a competitive landscape and a product landscape. Backing up a little bit, though, I want to talk a little bit about your approach coming into a company like this. So I've worked with hundreds of early stage and growth stage companies with CEO founders and CEOs that come in. And one of the things that's really clear to me is like, you've saw the vision for this next step and maybe a couple steps and really kind of coming in with almost like a founder mindset, at this next stage, because you've been in the market and seen it. What was your process with your evaluation side of the team, alignment around the board? What's that look like coming into a company like this for you?
I have a couple semi-radical but sound approaches on how I evaluate companies that I want to join. And so when you're interviewing for any job, particularly a CEO role, the board is, and the investors on the board, that's my boss. And
Right.
so I said unabashedly, I can change out anybody inside the company if I am appointed the CEO, because there better not be any sacred cows. It's not a good place for any leader to be in. So I can change leadership or anything I want to do in the company, because that's what you've asked me to do. What I can't do is I can't change the board. So if the board and the CEO are not in full alignment about what we're doing, priorities, where we're heading, then we ought not to even bother. And so that was a really very important aspect of my evaluation of this and the other companies that I've looked at. And so, and then obviously in this case, I have fantastic board and fantastic alignment with the board. And then going to the leadership. So you're in this situation, you're alluding to this. So I did replace the founder of the organization, who I think is fantastic. And as I think there were other co-founders as well, and they're they're all great people. They got us to where we are today. And we have a great nationwide brand. We've got marquee blue chip clients that anyone would just, just cherish having. And so when I was evaluating this company in terms of a fit after the board alignment is, well, I would like to know from them what the clients think about Clearsense. And it turns out I was blown away. I continue to be blown away, where the clients would like to stand on the top of the rooftops of every mountain and tell the world how great we are. And that's like, I'm not making that up. It's actually true. I had one client, I won't say who it is, but you'll see soon. One of our clients, a very large health system, I've never had this happen in my entire career, came to us about a month ago and asked us, could this person do a video testimonial about how much value we create and how easy we are to work with for them, how much cost reduction, how much strategic change we've helped them enable in the company. I mean, obviously I've asked clients, I've never had anyone ask me. And so
right.
that's just like astounding to me. And
Yes.
so we have really every one of our clients are just really appreciative of the value we create, particularly the larger and more complex ones. And so we usually work with only the smallest we probably go to is probably at least $1 billion or so in net patient revenue. So, and the bigger the better, because the more complex they are, the more acquisitions you're doing, the more enterprise application rollouts that they're doing, and it gets complex. So when I was evaluating the leadership that I inherited, I have a playbook in my mind of how I would like to transform the company to be more scalable, productized. I mean, so what this company did was they did a lot of innovative new products over the years. Most of them worked out fantastically. Not everything did, but most of them did. And the ones that did, I want to double, triple, quadruple down on really nailing that value proposition. And that includes both cost efficiencies internally, so I can keep my costs down for my clients. But I think more importantly is driving value creation and differentiation in the market. And then tell everybody. We're going through a rebranding exercise right now. I think it'll be done at the end of September. This is being recorded at the end of July of 24. We're not going to change the name of the company, but what we are going to do is we're going to rebrand the company, focus on value and about ROI and clinical outcomes and those types of things, not technical mumbo jumbo stuff. Everyone has great technology, or lots of companies do, and we do too. But we want to focus on how do we drive value creation? How do we delight the customer? How do we create customer success? And the leadership around me, and meaning the whole organization, I have really made sure that those people who I've now hired a new leadership team in the last few weeks. And one thing that I wanted to make certain from a structure perspective is that each of them personally has a direct, requirement or pressure, maybe a better way to put it, to client success. And so there's a really good book that I recommend that your audience reads. It's called Amp It Up by Frank Slootman, who's the founder of Snowflake. He brought ServiceNow public as well. And I really like one of the things that he talked about. Everyone is customer success, everybody in the company. And so, well, how do you best achieve that is, well, first of all, my CFO is also my COO, and he's in charge of delivery. My technology leader, obviously, he delivers the software as a service and platform as a service. And my chief commercial officer is responsible for, delivering account management and new logos and a good implementation. So all four of us, me included, and that's really the leadership of the team, the organization, all have a personal relationship with the client. So no one's off in the back office, not like, well, yeah, I know you got client problems, but that's sort of like Bob's problem kind of thing. Everyone has a personal burden on this.
I thought you were going to recommend Peak Teams. It's an amazing book. Jason, I don't know if you got your copy yet, but I thought, hey, I want to tell everyone about this great book. And I thought you're going to, amazing author. He did a fabulous job on that book. No, it's interesting because what I wanted to get to actually with you, and I know we've talked about this in the past, but how customer success is so important. And also, I like how you think, and I think we think similar around this. Is like once you can create that vision and align your board and your team with that, you have this clarity. And coming in, you align your vision with the board, and then you're like, you talent map it. What are the right people I need in order to get me to that peak? Right? Like, who do I need in ops and finance? Who do I need on the biz dev side? Who's been there, done it, who has a subject matter expertise? And then you map your team and make sure that they have the ability to do it, the understanding to do it, they want to do it, the motivation to do it. So I think you and I think really clear on that. And I love that element of customer success, because everything is customer, right? You're put in a good spot, but I love the idea that, or what I've seen with you, is that you have the vision forward. I think that's so important. You didn't come in to like keep it at an even keel. You really want to grow
Yeah,
something.
absolutely. Yeah. So I think, you set the big vision. So I'll give you an example. My big vision for this company is that there are thousands, maybe tens of thousands of companies out there I could work with, and I'll just keep it to healthcare. That
Yeah.
includes all the vendors, all the health systems, the plans, the pharma. But I would like to get to a place we are a data platform to where on a low code modernized technology, any of those companies can put their tools and technologies or use any of ours as well in a marketplace, and then they can drive it. We take care of the data, take care of the throughput, and we also have our own technologies and analytics and tools if they would like to use it, but they don't have to. And
Right.
so we're not there yet. That's kind of the vision, is a platform as a service. We have use cases of some of our organizations where they're using for more specific use cases like research enablement. We have a very large region of health systems that are leveraging our data platform to drive these research cohorts with big pharma, et cetera. We have other use cases where we have other types of applications being built into the EHR system for that longitudinal EHR record. To me, like where the rubber meets the road is you can't get too far out on that vision, because you have to kind of earn the right to get there. We're not too small, but we're not $200 million company either. So to me, you start off with fantastic, great products that drive that value, and then you earn the right to build another one and another
Yep.
one.
Yep.
But you keep that core, and there's an incremental value on top of these. So start with the archiving of data from a legacy perspective. Your real-time data, now you're putting on, our clients' tools and technologies and AI on top of our combination of the near real-time plus the archive data. And
Right.
then you add on modern line code technology, so you can maybe bridge payers and providers to share data, claims data and clinical data in one place. And then they can bring in their risk adjustment and their stars data and HITRUST data analytics on top of that. 'Cause I'm not trying to get in every type of business. It's more
Right.
about the enablement using the data. There was an analyst that I saw from Barclays. I won't say her name, but I was so impressed with her a few months ago at a China conference. And someone asked in the audience, I've repeated this a few times in conversations, so it's so important, is that someone said in the audience, this is all CEOs. There's a CEO only kind of luncheon at Chime at the Vive conference. And someone said there are literally dozens and dozens of AI companies scattered across the floor of this Vive conference. How many of those AI companies do you think will be here in the next 2 to 3 years? And so you know what her answer was? What would you guess her answer was? I'm not trying to put you on the spot.
Well, I don't know what the answer is, but I would guess all those people will still be there. Those be absorbed in all the other companies that are standing there as well.
Yeah, well, those people probably will find other jobs, but the reality is low single percent.
Yeah.
Low single percent. So let's just say there's, I don't know, 500 AI companies, in healthcare. There's probably more than that. If you
Right.
really think about it. She's saying low single percent are going to survive. And she said the reason why is because of the data underneath. It's the underlying data, and she called it the boring data management underneath
Hmm.
that won't properly get the actual output that you want from AI.
Right.
I could go through any analytic, any AI, any NLP, any type of technology. If you don't have the data right, and then you're going to run into challenges, and it's going to be
Mm-hmm.
slow. It's going to be arduous. It's going to be wrong. frustrating. I
Yeah.
lived it. I've done this for like 30 years.
Right.
So have you. Like
Yes.
it's painful. And so the data is so important. And where I'm appreciative that I think that's where healthcare needs to focus on
Yeah.
is that underneath.
Well, I remember, I mean, I started my career in the .com boom, right? So, it was late 90s .com boom. And I remember specifically one day, one of the companies that I was with, the founder was talking about this thing. And they kept on saying, this is the most important thing. And it was data, and I think tech companies have always identified with data and how data was so important and is important and will remain to be important, right? That's the value of these companies. And I think focusing on that into the future is just going to be more important. I
Yeah, a
do
lot
believe
of
all those,
times.
I do believe all those AI
Yeah,
companies will be absorbed probably
yeah
by
no, you
some into the healthcare. Maybe some will pivot. A lot of them will be absorbed, and those people will be absorbed into those companies. There's going to be a lot of action. It's definitely the Wild West in AI right now. It's definitely the Wild
it
West,
is.
and
It is the
it will
Wild
be
West.
it'll be fun to see where things go. And it's hard to predict now because AI. The one thing I think a lot of people get confused about AI. Once AI is smarter than us, we can't predict that because we can't predict something that's smarter than us. So it's hard to see the through line sometimes on that. But I think it's the Wild West right now, and it's going to get very interesting. And I think there's going to be a lot of benefits to healthcare and health outcomes with AI. And I'm very optimistic on that piece of
I
AI.
totally agree. Yeah, I was talking to one of our clients, and we Clearsense doesn't have any role in this, but I just thought it was a fascinating AI use case that actually works. They basically it's like a local regional community hospital, a few hospitals in the system, and they deployed an AI technology that would capture the encounter between the patient and the doctor. So, unfortunately nowadays, since the EHR boom, the doctor will sit there and type while the patient's talking. It's a little frustrating, when you're trying to have a conversation for both parties. Well, this new AI technology actually will capture all the information. It'll transcribe it into a tool, and it's so good that the doctor, I think they call it home at night for dinner or something like that. It's kind of a funny name for the name of the program that they are implementing there. Not the name of the application, but the name of the program. And it's because it's saving literally 2 hours per day for the primary care physician, because all they got to do is slightly edit the conversation, because
Yeah.
it's gotten so good in the voice recognition and what the AI has interpreted what the conversation was about,
Yep.
and verbatim creating a progress note for the encounter that it saves hours a day. And I was just blown away that, and this isn't a pilot stage with this company, but
Yeah.
I was just blown away about it. That's just like such an easy. I heard about that with Dragon or whatever it was, back in the 90s, but it never really took off like it has,
Yep.
or it looks like it could. And
Yeah, there's a lot going on, especially in health diagnostics. We have a lot of health diagnostic companies, and the stuff that they can do with AI and diagnostics and catching things way before they were able to. I think that's really exciting progress. Well, I want to shift gears. So it was a couple weeks ago. I watched this show called Boys in a Boat, and I think you might have mentioned it to me. And it's one of those, why don't they make movies like this anymore? It's like a true story of this rowing team, college rowing team. And it was the JV team that, becomes very successful. I don't want to ruin the movie, but,
yeah,
and I think you and I were talking about it, and it kind of goes back to this thing that I think is so important. And it's, in organizations, everybody has their place. Once you put the right people in the right place, everybody has their role, their responsibilities, and they need to start rowing in the right direction together, in the same direction together. For me, how to do that is cadence, building an operating system, a set of meetings, clear tools that we use to keep the team aligned, focused, and accountable. But I know that this is some of your belief as well. And, you looking at your history and experience, you're definitely an operator. There's strategy in there, and there's a lot of things. But what did you take out of that movie?
yeah. That's and by the way, the book is fantastic too. It's one of these rare occasions where I think I actually like the movie better than the book, though. but the
Oh,
book is
really?
worth reading because it goes into a lot more depth,
Hmm.
as they always do. But and I never dig through or anything. I mean, that looks like what an incredible sport. I think the essence of again, I don't want to ruin it for your audience, but it is absolutely worth watching and reading. Is they had a bunch of um, young guys in, I think it was University of Washington in 1936, if I remember, and they really were independently or uniquely themselves strong, and they were strong rowers, etc. And the coach kept on trying to figure out what place in the boat was the best place for the system, so to speak, to work the best, because they kept changing the ordering of who was
Mm-hmm.
in what portion of the boat, because they all had their own individual role, just like a football team, got quarterbacks, wide receivers, etc. It's like, okay, well, we need to switch things around in order to get the most out of this team. And so every company I've ever been in, just because someone is in a particular role doesn't mean, first of all, are they an athlete? And I mean that in a work sense. Are they an athlete? Can they take on more responsibility? Well, that's good, because if I'm in a high growth company, and I always go to high growth companies, then that's someone I can build on, and I can actually put more expectations on, and they can grow. If they aren't, that's okay too, as long as they're really good at what they do and they become a master at that. When you're in a smaller company, it's kind of like everyone's a jack of all trades and a master of none. As you
Right.
get bigger and you try to scale, you have to find those who are just passionate about data science, right?
Mm-hmm.
So absolutely passionate about data science. That's all they want to do in their life. And before that, they were maybe doing client success, they were doing some data integration, but they really, really are data scientists at heart. And as you get bigger, you can actually start to put more emphasis on that data science and create really a center of excellence for each, whether it be operations or data science or technology, as you grow. In a smaller company, you can't do that. You have to have people with many hats. But just
Yeah.
like in the boys of the boat, get the right people who've got that, um, can stretch a little bit,
Yep.
but they also have the ability to really focus on their trade, and then be willing to change positions on the boat too, because you want to win. You know, you want to win the gold, so to speak. That's all I'll say about the movie.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think, in other words, to say, like earlier stage companies, you need more generalists. And as you get larger, you can get more towards specialists. They talk about the
Right.
T shape, the wide and the deep. And, but what you need in all those in growth is somebody that's constantly learning. I think it's the people that are open minded,
Absolutely.
constantly learning are people that are willing to change. Yeah, I used to say this a lot. If you're willing to learn, you're willing to change. And there's gonna be a lot of change when you're going through growth. And it's
Right.
important that the people are willing to learn and want to learn, because you need to put that in as part of the ethos, I think, in companies.
Yeah, and I will tell you, in not this company, but in one of the prior companies, we had a great first year, and it was just spectacular. After many years of not good growth, declining growth, I came in, and we was incredible first year. And then it was so funny at the beginning of the following year, the leadership that got us to that point over that, first year, like, well, wait a second, we got to keep doing this again. And like, yeah, like we're just getting warmed up. This is my normal pace.
Right.
And I could just tell, like, the look in the eyes of not one or two, like several, like, okay, so not everyone's going to make it, and that's
Yeah.
okay. So
Right.
it's okay. It's okay if whoever got you to this point. Sort of like I look at the founders that were in my company, Clearsense. I think they're awesome. I've actually developed really good relationships with them, and we have a strategic partnership with this other company that they work at today. And I always say, like, I walk on the shoulders of giants, because I am not probably the best person to go on a whiteboard and create a product from nothing, from scratch, with no kind of core base asset. I'm really better suited personally to take a really good value proposition that has got some legs to it, and and then exploit it in the right way, make it bigger, make it better, make it more scalable, and then incrementally add on new products and new functionality never ever thought of again before, and kind of
Right.
get that out of innovation in the company. versus like, hey, like two guys in a whiteboard, let's just make a new company. So it's really, it's a different skill set to me, and it's very hard to do both. It's just, but they're very different skill sets.
All right, I'm going to flip it on you. I'm going to ask me a.
Um, because like this has been a great conversation. What gets you excited? What makes you like, wow, I hadn't thought of it that way? Or this is, I mean, at least you did watch the movie, so that's great. But like, what kind of gets you? What kind of catches your attention? Like, okay, this is different. This is
Yeah,
unique. I think this company's got something. This leader's done something different. I'm just
right.
thinking, what are the characteristics that really you see with all, because you get an opportunity, you have like this bird's eye view when you have, because when you're in a seat like this where I am, you open up and you
Right.
you say a lot of things because you're very good at bringing that out of people. So, but what do you see that
Well, I
kind of
have two.
makes you like think,
I have
basically
two
make you go,
views. Yeah, exactly. So I have two views. I'm under the hood of hundreds of companies every single year, venture-backed companies. So, implementing Peak and the operating system, understanding kind of where those companies are at what stage, and helping them grow as a team together. So I have a lot of that view. I also have the view of having hundreds of conversations on tech scenes, which are more of a public view. We can't go as deep as we do when we're under the hood, in the privacy of the leadership teams. And, the one thing that sticks out to me and gets me excited is just finding things that work. I think that's what we're all trying to do. And I think that is a system from day one. You're talking about the whiteboard, a founder and their whiteboard. Day one, when they start that idea or have that, they're looking for things that work. And it's kind of like that scientific method of trying a bunch of things and having hypotheses, and some work and some don't work. And the ones that work, they double down on and triple down on until they can raise capital and they can prove, you give me $1 and I can turn it into 3. And then they start hiring people and implementing these processes that work. But now they have a team that they put together, right? Like, so now they're hiring people to get to that next stage and putting in a system and a cadence for the team to do discovery, learn, and communicate, harmoniously together and continue to learn and grow. And as that accelerates and gets bigger, they go get more money. And now this $1 turns into $10 or $20, right? So to me, what gets me going is teams learning and finding the things that work and being very efficient about how they do that, so they can create growth, which will eventually help them either sell the company or help them raise more capital and larger organization. And then the other thing is, I love finding contrarian ideas and concepts, because I still think there's so much still to learn. And why I love doing tech scenes is trying to pull them out of people and finding the things that are working for other people, so you can just share it so other people can use those as well. But the 180 shifts in mindsets, and I've done it. I've come in different organizations, and I try to stay open. Even though I think the operating system works very, very well, I always try to stay open and see if there's other opportunities and things that we can do to more align the team, or find more growth faster. And I'm still surprised day to day with the teams that I work with and the things that I hear. Not all the information's out there readily for everybody to act on.
That's great. Yeah, I love that. And I'm going to use that for my own, actually. I like things that work, because there's so many things that don't work.
Right.
And if you actually build, I mean, it's a really simple concept. I'm going to add one thing to it, which I think was implied, is when you say things that work to solve problems, is
Mm-hmm.
probably one way to look at it too.
Yeah.
It's solving a problem and it works. And
Right.
so, and there's another book. This is going way back. If you remember the book Blue Ocean Strategy.
Yes.
Um, and I just actually had my town hall this week with my group. I got about 100 people or so in the company. And I was explaining to them, in short, you got the red ocean, which is, you've got commodity, and you've got a bunch of sharks, which are effectively vendors, and it's all bloody. It's a big mess. They're all looking for that one little morsel of contract with the clients out there, and they're fighting with each other for that morsel of opportunity, morsel of contract. And
Right.
it's just a very, very hard mess of blood and water. So blue ocean is where you have made your competition irrelevant and you're the only shark in the ocean. because you've changed everything. And so there's several companies that are listed in the book, and it's still worth reading today. But I'll use one of them, the Cirque du Soleil. So they took what are the worst things in a circus. The worst things in a circus are, this is like Barnum and Bailey. They're really uncomfortable seats. They got these annoying clowns with the buzzers and all that. Some people don't like the animal usage, animal rights. People don't like that kind of usage. And it's kind of the same thing, over and over again. And it's kind of commodity at the end of the day. So what Cirque du Soleil did was they said, I'm going to take the best things of a circus and I'm going to make it a premium entertainment experience. And so they have a tent. They've got 2,000 seats. Every seat is fantastic. They've got themes. They might do Michael Jackson. They might do, the Beatles. They might do whatever, the rainforest, always keeping it fresh. And there are no animals that are used. And you have incredible acrobatics. And they charge like $100, $150 a seat. And look how long they've been around now. Now, of course, Barnum and Bailey was around a long time, but they're no longer. And so Southwest Airlines is another example. If you can find ways to take, even if it's like the archiving example, the application decommissioning concept that I have, one of the things that we're doing is that we have really great technology, so do the vendors, but how do we make the way we approach it totally radically different than what everyone else does, so you make them irrelevant? I won't go into detail here, but I think that's always a good concept of like, it's not incremental growth, it's radical change.
Yes.
A contrarian point of view. How do you really move the dial in a way that is in a way that works, actually?
Right. Well, my belief is that every company can strive to find blue ocean. That's what I believe. There's plenty of room at the top if you're creative. We live in an open-ended world, right? There's endless possibilities, and venture-backed companies are very unique and different. Venture-backed companies are doing things or striving to do things that have never been done before. That's why they get venture capital, right? And so it opens up the possibilities. And I think really good teams that can learn quickly and become very efficient can find their way to something, right? I think the teams that stick and just only are going to do this and they don't want to change, they tend to not work out. And so, using the analogy of like climbing the mountain with your team and keeping your team together and keeping them aligned and hiking up the mountain in the same direction, as long as you're learning and communicating and have symbiosis of a team, you can keep on moving forward over and over again. And as you escalate, you get more view. As you get closer to the top of that mountain, you start to have perspective the peak. People don't have, you have a perspective that others don't have.
That was a little, that was for you.
Well, finally, I was waiting. You talk about all these books, Jason. You talk about all these books, but peak. Yeah, but you get to the top of that mountain and you have a different perspective. There's more opportunity. There's another peak to climb. So I really think, having that perspective, and venture-backed teams have that opportunity to keep on driving change and innovation. All right, now the final question for you. Now this is probably going to be the most difficult question and probably the most important question that you've ever been asked. So I hope you're ready. Are you standing, or maybe you need to sit down? All right.
I'm standing.
Okay. So here's the scenario. You are on a desert island for the rest of your life. Now it's a tropical island, so it's super nice, and you have plenty of food and water and shelter. But one thing you don't have is entertainment. However, old 80s boombox drifted ashore. And luckily you have endless batteries for this thing, but you can only bring one album to listen to for the rest of your life. What album are you going to bring?
Yeah, right. Well, I'm going to stick with just your 80s. I'm going to bring Guns N' Roses.
Guns N' Roses.
The first initial album, Welcome to the Jungle, and all
Appetite for Destruction, right?
Yeah, Appetite for Destruction. That's right.
That's a great answer. Nobody said that yet. Is
that contrarian?
I don't know. It's so funny when people mention these albums. I'm always like, I could do that too. Yeah, I definitely could do Guns N' Roses. Yeah, that's great.
All day long, especially if there's some, some cervezas and tequila around. So
it would be perfect. Yeah. Awesome. Well, thanks for joining me on Tech Scenes. It was great having you on the show.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jeff. I really appreciate it. It was a great conversation.